I want to quickly review the 1966 film Alfie, and it stars the legendary Michael Caine, and this is one of the best films he's done. And just like with Jack Nicholson, from the 1960s all the way up to the 2000s, Michael Caine has been nominated for Best Acting, has had a Best Acting nomination in every decade. And I really would say that this is an extremely important film in British history because it does talk about a lot of societal values that happened during the 1960s. Alfie is based on a book. It's about this man who is a playboy, who is like, a playboy type of person. So he is somebody who will cheat on a lot of different women, who would cheat on a lot of different men by like dating their women. He creates bastard children, and he's not somebody who takes a lot of responsibility for his actions. I've actually kind of thought to myself, is he a sociopath? And I do think that he does have tendencies that are of a sociopath within this film. So it starts out with him having a relationship with this girl. He gets this woman pregnant, and they kind of decide, because this is a bastard baby, that, you know, he doesn't want to get married, so he's a good father to this child. Then later on, this woman decides that he can't be in the child's life. He can't be a weekend dad. He has to be a full-time dad. So they choose to break off their relationship, and he stops seeing this child, and and that's that and stuff. And then later on in the film, he dates different women. He gets himself in trouble at the very end. There's this like very funny bar fight sequence that reminds me a bit of Casino Royale, 1968. What I will also say too is that at the end, like, there's this really powerful scene where he gets another woman pregnant and they decide to have an abortion, and he kind of regrets doing it. And I think that's one of the best scenes within the movie, because in part of it, he doesn't care about her feelings. And then he kind of shows remorse after like seeing like the remains of the abortion. And he's kind of traumatized because like in that, during that sequence of the film, he ends up seeing the child that he created with this other woman again. So, it's definitely him taking a lot of damage for his actions. And I really think that it's a very powerful scene of acting because, then he consoles himself by going back to a woman that he's already seeing at the time, and then he finds out that this woman is cheating on him. And during that finding out, he has an attitude of he has kind of an attitude of just being angry with her and putting all his frustrations on her. So I really think that this is a great acting by Michael Caine, because he does go from being an asshole, he does go from somebody who does not take responsibility for his actions to somebody who suffers a bit and you feel sorry for her. So I like how you feel a spectrum of different emotions. This was nominated for Best Film, this was nominated for Best Actor, and nominated for Best Original, Best Adapted Screenplay. It came out in 1966, so I think it lost to The Sound of Music. And unfortunately, this was also the year, I believe, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly came out, and it was not nominated for the Oscars, which I believe is one of the most criminally big film injustices that has ever happened in cinematic history. Like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly should have been nominated for Best Picture, Best Editing, and a couple of other awards that year. What I liked about this film is like Michael Caine's acting, is, as I said, that I was writing down a list of things that happened within the film, like a bunch of sequences, like especially like when he kind of convinces this woman to have an abortion, and she and the doctor agrees to do the abortion, and his feelings around it, and how he goes in and out of the house with kind of happy that it's happening, then regretting it, and then kind of just moving on to somebody else. Like I wrote down like how he changes. He kind of changes a lot within those scenes, and also because he is somebody who jumps from relationship to relationship, liaison to liaison. I wrote down like how he does a really good job in his acting and changing his tone and speaking differently to different people, because all that is subtext, because it's subtext because he is lying to different people about where he's been, because he's been with different women, and also it's dramatic irony because we know what he is doing, We know why he's saying certain words or certain phrases, why he's doing certain nuances, is he having a tone with people who don't understand why he's having a bad day, because he's doing damage to himself. So I really think that it's like what they say about, like, what Christopher Walken said about acting and writing, that the actor is the lightning between the script and the script and the screen, and I totally agree with that within Michael Caine's acting. The film had really good cinematography. It had a lot of good location cinematography. Like, you saw Big Ben, and like the Tower of London, not the Tower of London, but you saw like a lot of like really old buildings within this. They use Shout at the Field in some scenes, and also like some scenes where he's kissing and making out with women in the park. You do like kind of, they do like use very like, bright lighting, so it does kind of feel very sensual and dreamlike. And also too, because this was made in the 1960s, there were no like hardcore sex scenes. This was just like with The Graduate, where it was about sex, but they went as far as they could without making it X-rated. And actually, this film is rated PG nowadays, so there was a lot of like, you would film like, there's a scene where he has sex with his nurse, so like you see like the curtain, then you see her feet, and then she giggles, then some guy's reacting, and then you kind of see like, you don't see her feet again, so it implies that she went on the bed. And also in this film, there's a lot of reaction shots, and then there's a lot of shots like that imply what's going on and stuff like that. And that's really important in film, because sometimes like those implied shots about what's going on is really important, because sometimes you don't really need to show the sex scene to kind of get the point across. You need to kind of just imply it. And also too, that this is like a romantic comedy, so it kind of adds to that romantic comedy by just having stuff that's implied, but also more importantly showing other people's reactions to what he's doing. And I also like Michael Caine's acting. Like, I know, like, I've kind of said this before, like, he does come off as very shameless. Just like in Annie Hall, he does a really good job at talking to the audience about how he feels, and then kind of going back to the scene. And it doesn't get to a point where it's obnoxious. And I really also feel like, again, I feel for his character. And also, too, in the beginning, when he has this child, he wants to be a father but not be married. And you really kind of see this man who really loves his son. So even while he's doing very despicable things, he is doing a lot within his acting to make you, hate him at certain points, to love him at certain points, to see him as like a pimp and a playboy, or, like a man you want to be, and then also a man you don't want to be. And I really think that it shows a lot of Michael Caine's ability to be a great actor. And I would also kind of will say that the last thing I want to say is like is two things. That this is an excellent film on societal values at that time, because, it is a great film when you look back and just see how, women had certain limitations, within relationships. Like, the man kind of dictated what was expected of the woman, and the woman went along with it. I do have a lot of friends who were born in the 60s, and it was that same type of time period where, men took wood shop in high school, women took baking and mothering and family classes, and you don't question the advice of a man and stuff like that. So I really like how that's captured, because when people look back at this time period, especially with the Me Too movement and like women's rights and how it's kind of crescendoing again, this is an excellent film to kind of say, look at how far we've went, but also a close reminder to say, in 60 years from when this film was made, 50 to 60 years, like 55 years after this film was made, we've made a lot of improvement, but also we still need to grow as a society and understand that there's still issues. And I think that the other thing I'll say is that I think in psychology, I do feel Michael Caine's character is a sociopath, or because I do feel like he's not learning. He hurts a lot of people, but he also focuses on a lot of his emotions. So I really would say that that is kind of maybe trademarks of a sociopath or a psychopath, where he doesn't care about other people's feelings. He kind of almost wants to be consoled. Like, there is a scene where he chases a woman out of the house and stuff. He kind of is nasty to her, and then he kind of wants her back. And I think that maybe he does feel bad, but in the end of the day, he kind of just wants her back because he wants to feel loved. Just like Charlie Sheen in Two and a Half Men, like at the very end, he kind of wants his neighbor to kind of come back, but it's too late. And I think what she's saying is that no, you don't want me back because your mentality is you want the comfort, you don't want the person, and that's two different things. I would also say within his psychology, he definitely likes. He's definitely addicted to bad habits, and as I've learned in psychology, you can make yourself addicted to doing good habits and the right thing, and the wrong habit and the wrong thing. And I think that maybe, I really think that there's some really powerful lines at the very end of it. He kind of asked the audience, about relationships and stuff like that, and he kind of says something along the lines of, isn't that what relations is? It's a give and take. But I end up feeling like things were taken from me, and then that's kind of one of the lyrics within the ending song about like relationships and feeling like things were taken from you, and that's a very dark message. I think if this film is meant to be a satire, and this is also based off a book, if it's meant to be a satire, I can totally respect it as a satire. But if it was like directly serious and really was trying to be misogynistic, I think that this is a very, very dangerous film. But I also think a good film to kind of say, thankfully, a bulk of society can look at a character like Alfie within this film and kind of have a lot of scrutiny and say this is a great example of what not to be. And thank God, a lot of things have changed in the past 55 years since this film was made. I would also will say too that I will look at this film as a satire because I think that, again, his character is foolish. He does pay for his actions at the end because, again, he's left lonely. He's left not having the child that he wants to have. He regrets having the abortion. So ultimately, even though he doesn't accept responsibility, he is suffering for his behavior. And I like the karma that is kind of given within that. So I really just like this film for a lot of different reasons. I really think that, I'm really busy watching the top 100 British films. And I do think one problem with that is, I really don't have time to kind of rewatch some stuff and take my time with it because I always want to look at something new. But I really love this film. I really think that, you can watch it and learn how to be a better director of character and just watch it. And just watch how in every scene he kind of makes the words off the page mean a lot of stuff. And again, as Christopher Walken said, the actor is the lightning between the script and the screen, and I really think that his acting does it. But I also feel like with really good directing and a lot of carefulness, you can make a very powerful performance. And there's a lot of techniques that I've learned from this film. So it's definitely stuff that I've taken notes on. I really think that I call my term crescendoing in acting. Acting in crescendoing in acting, or acting in crescendoing, or actor crescendoing. And I've dissected what that meant through this, but I'm not going to kind of go forth with it because I just don't want people stealing my technique. But overall, really great film. It rightfully deserves its Oscar nominations. I'm not sure who won Best Actor that year, but this was a very strong contender for it. All right, that's all I got to say about Alfie 1966.